Thanks for coming down, Dr. Bilal. You've got several children to talk about. Who's the first one you'd like to tell us about?
Yes, brought a couple of kids to data meeting today. I've actually made copies of the progress monitoring forms and all the forms I had to fill out.
Oh, great.
For you.
Thank you.
So it's a copy for you, and I've got a copy for myself. I brought the data binders with me as well for the students that I'm presenting today. And the first student I have is Johnny. And based on the flow chart, Johnny is, well, based on the progress monitoring forms that I'm using, Johnny's showing that he is still behind. We're doing the shared reading intervention that was located in the binder. And the guidelines for following the intervention are also in the folder. And I just followed this for the progress monitoring forms that I used.
Perfect. I see you put them all in a packet for us.
Yes, I did.
Did you file that in his folder?
Yes, and you have the same copies that I have. I've been seeing him 10 minutes a day for 6 weeks, and I've included the dates and the number of minutes for each meeting. And he is in a shared reading group of about 4 students. And we've been working on a shared reading of 3 pocket chart poetry. I would say Johnny's really enthusiastic about reading the poems and going up to identify the high frequency words. And I started progress monitoring September 9th, and the date shows the last time that we met was October 15th. I think he's understanding what we're doing, but I don't feel like he's ready for guided reading groups. So I brought some data forms today to share with you, and the first one is the letter ID from Appendix E. And I monitored him 3 times. First time was September 9th. He was able to identify 24 uppercase and 19 lowercase letters, and that's a total of 43 letters. Second time I assessed was September 25th, and he was able to identify 24 uppercase, 21 lowercase, with a total of 45 letters. And the last assessment was done, or the progress monitoring was done, October 7th, with 25 uppercase and 22 lowercase letters, with a total of 49 letters. So would you say
nice,
that he's
steady progress?
Okay. The second progress monitoring form that I'm sharing is the high frequency chart. And what I did was I checked off the words that he was able to identify. The first time I assessed was September 16th, and he was able to identify 6 words, high frequency words. The second progress monitoring was conducted October 5th, and he was able to identify 10 high frequency words.
Again, that's really good growth.
The third progress monitoring that I did, based on the guidelines I had to follow from the binder, was the concepts about print, and I conducted that October 2nd. And based on the results, he was able to identify where to start reading, which direction to read in. He was able to point while he read. He was able to identify a period, show me 1 letter, 2 letters, show me a capital letter, the first letter of a word, and the last letter of a word, with a total of 8 points.
Do you feel like then he is really getting a handle on a lot of the concepts about print that you're trying to teach in your shared reading group?
Well, just based on the monitoring, he's showing an increase and really understanding a few things that he hasn't gotten yet, but I'd say he is.
Well, why don't we let Ms. Biggs talk about her data?
Well, I see Johnny in a group 5 days a week. And he's in a small group. We started out in interactive writing. He's made great progress. With my group too, he's increased in his letter knowledge, both in naming them and using them when he's writing. But we have moved on October 5th, we moved to the Guided Reading Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been able to do 1 running record on him so far. He does really well in using the meaning of the book. his visual cues is what we're really working on. The high frequency words that he knows for you, he can sometimes use those as an anchor when he's reading to bring him back. When I'm reading to him, he has the one-to-one, but when he's reading to himself, he does not have it. He adds in extra words to make the story, so he uses his own meaning and structure as opposed to reading the words that are on there. So we are really working on using those known words as anchors and how to use the initial letter to help him figure out words that he doesn't know how to read. But he is making steady progress. I think once he figures out that you can only read the words that are on the page and that you have to look and point to the words, then I think he will do very well.
It sounds like high frequency words are coming up with both of you. We've seen that he's increasing his knowledge of high frequency words, but maybe when he's reading a book, he's not realizing that he knows those words. So I'm wondering, when you're teaching high frequency words, maybe there are some other strategies that people have an idea for.
He could read the room. He could go around the room and look at the anchor charts and anything else that you have up and find some of the high frequency words. You may even want to write those.
That's a good idea. That helps him to know that in lots of different contexts, those words are the same thing.
And it sounds like from both of you, he needs to firm up his one-to-one matching when he's reading independently. So maybe some encouragement in that and activities just to encourage, like somebody said, using his known anchor words, because he does seem to be taking on a bank of known words to use as guides.
So strengthen the one-to-one matching.
And he could use magnetic letters on his whiteboard and make some of the words he knows, just to reaffirm that he knows them and they're an anchor for him in his reading.
Those are some good ideas to try.
You know, also, since you have that list of words that you know that he can read, when he's writing in his journal, make sure he writes those words correctly, so that he can know if he reads them, he can write them. Yeah.
It seems like we have a little bit of a mismatch between the classroom intervention and the interventionist's intervention. His group has moved on to a guided reading plus, and Mrs. Biggs has said that he seems to be doing all right in that group so far. So I'm wondering if maybe a classroom intervention with guided reading might be what he needs. Do you have a group that he might fit into to give that a try?
I actually currently am pulling out 2 students for my guided reading group. They're at a level CD, I would say, and we meet daily. So is that a group that you'd suggest I add him to?
Yes, if you're meeting daily, it sounds like that's a tier 2 intervention group and that he would fit into that really nicely. What would you think about giving that a try?
I'm going to go back and try all the ideas. And should I go back into the binder and look at the next step with the guided reading group and make
Yes.
sure I'm monitoring?
You'll have different kinds of progress monitoring that you'll need to bring the next time that we meet.
Okay, all right, and just make sure I have those
Make sure
forms.
you're doing those running records. I expect that he'll do really well. You're keeping good track of what's going on with him. Thank you.
And I'd encourage you to find some time to continue to collaborate with Mrs. Biggs and make sure that you guys are still putting in place the same things.